Blanky time, Blanky time. It's almost time for Blanky time. Come along and take our hands. We're going to Blanky land.
Oh no. Was that your mouse?
Yeah.
Man, it's a bad day to be a mouse. Is that part of it under the counter? Right there?
Yeah, we'll worry about that later.
That's a terrible day. It's a terrible day. Oh, man.
All
What
right.
a way to start your day.
Yeah, man. It's okay. Let me adjust these here.
Bum, bum.
High dollar production value here at
Yeah, man. You know
Blanky
it.
Time.
You know it. That's what we're here for.
The nice. You know what? I'll just put it on top of my feet.
Do
The
it,
cable for his mic runs across my feet, and that's what yoinks.
I need another longer cable, I guess.
Yeah, or just so it can run around that way.
That would
Yeah.
solve the problem. Well, how's it going, man?
It's good. I'm still waking.
Still waking up.
Oh yeah, there's
your
coffee.
Is up there, I think. Wait, whichever one has more
dirty,
is
dirty
yours.
bean. Yeah, it's this one.
Where did mine go, though?
I think so.
It's a terrible day.
Oh, it's behind the pot.
Behind my pot.
Yeah, behind Matt's copious amounts of pot behind the camera.
That thing. Yeah. Oh, man.
So yeah, I was up late last night, making sure that
That's
the episode
strong.
coming out today
That's
would
good.
be on time,
Yeah.
which was
You and Elijah.
a very fun episode.
Very fun.
It's been a hot second since me and you have been together, cause
It has, man. You've been out. You've been away.
yeah, I've been traveling the world.
You've been
Not really the world, just around North Kakalaki.
investing in your sanity and vacation time.
I don't know about sanity. Being stuck in a car with my in-laws for extended amounts of time
Yes, I hear you.
could
I hear you.
have some long-lasting effects.
Yeah.
So,
Try living with them for 4 months.
hey man, listen, I lived in a camper, dude.
Oh, that's right.
So,
I love my in-laws. Actually, we had a lot of fun. They just moved back.
oh really?
Into their place. Yeah. So
You're out now?
yeah, it's been a busy week of getting them moved in, and last night was the first night back. Just our family. Oh, did it hit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
First sip. That was a good
first
sip.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I didn't know that they were.
After I replaced the nozzles. It's pretty.
Ooh,
It's fire.
The fresh roasty.
Fresh roasted. I actually roasted this yesterday, so it hasn't even fully degassed. So it's just gonna get better.
It's got to toot a little bit.
Yeah, man. But yeah, so first night back in the house by ourselves last night, and it was weird because we were like, "What do we do?" We're so used to having people there.
Right.
You know, my brother and sister-in-law, especially. Even if everyone else was asleep, they would always chill with us. So it's gonna be interesting to get back into the rhythm. But no, I hear you. I hear you on the long trip with your in-laws. I'm sure it's fun.
No, we had a lot of fun. We did a lot of things. But something to help segue in today's topic. Oh, also, let's just Blanky is here in spirit today.
Yeah.
It's pretty toasty.
It's the hottest month in the history of the planet. So
but we're still technically in an ice age.
Technically. I can't wait
So what does that mean?
until this ends. Then. But yeah, it's been super hot, man. Like hottest week in like recorded history was the beginning of this month.
Super hot fire.
Plus we got the
I
fire
spit
going on in Canada.
Oh,
so
yeah,
we
dude.
got,
The mountains.
I'm sure it was worse.
It
up there.
was. There was.
Yeah.
It was maybe the second or third day we were there, and the smoke was just like blanketing everything. It was so boggy.
I believe it, man. It's
Yeah.
been we went
It was
down
nuts.
to when we were down in Oak Island, I don't know if the week y'all were there.
No, it's an undisclosed coastal location.
Bleep that out.
We don't have to bleep it out.
Bleep it out.
That was just part of the meme.
No. Yeah, but we were down at the coast, and it was like super foggy and yellow going in. It was pretty rough. So yeah, Blanky's here in spirit
Blanky,
because it's
always here
hot.
in spirit.
We recorded in a warehouse, which
Is
just
this considered a warehouse?
it feels like a warehouse.
It's like a
like
a
an
little person
It's
warehouse.
a little. It's, sure. It's a little office space that operates as if it was a warehouse, and so it cooks everything. It's like a little microwave. So
The microwave.
yeah.
Anyways, so at the mountain house that we were staying at,
Yeah.
there was something there that heavily bothered me the entire time that has to do with today's topic.
Oh, great! I want to hear it.
Where we stayed, we were very fortunate. It's a very nice house. My father-in-law has this person. It's a weird way to say it.
That is weird.
Knows this person who is very well off
Mm-hmm.
and is older and now wants to let people enjoy the fruits of his labor.
Mm.
So he has this very nice big mountain house that he graciously let us stay at. However, I was expecting, since it's a very nice mountain house,
Yeah.
that there would also be very nice kitchenware.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, there's not. There's just like cheap, like non-stick pans
Yeah.
and all that stuff. And for you,
And now we can start the episode.
for those of you who don't know, most of those pans, if not all, that have the non-stick coating, are coated in Teflon.
Yeah.
And
It's no bueno.
Teflon is not good for you.
It is no good.
And so this whole episode is about things that you should try to avoid so
That
you
are
don't die.
Actually killing us.
That are
Come
actually
on,
killing
guys.
you.
Wake up.
Yeah,
I'm excited to get into this today and to hear your thoughts. Because I know you've been doing some research on your own, trying to eliminate things from your life. I'm kind of on a similar journey, me and Aaron, and just trying to make our home and family as, friendly to the environment and sustainable as we possibly can. And so it's been really cool learning, and also super just eye-opening, all the things that are doing us so much damage that we don't even realize, because, we grew up in it, it's kind of culturally acceptable, and most people just have no idea what's actually happening.
There's certain things in the South that are now like ingrained in culture, even just like food culture,
Right.
that are what oh geez, this is gonna be a fun one. This is a big brain topic, and I'm really not feeling big brain today.
Good. I'm excited, man.
I'm
It's
gonna
gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
Anyways, in the South, there's a lot of things we can get into that are culturally used at this point,
Right.
because of propaganda and conspiracies. So we can get into that.
I love your take on conspiracy theories too, so maybe we'll touch on that.
These are actually 100% verified.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Things.
I'm sure. Yeah.
I guess.
So the idea is basically, there's a lot of toxic things that we as human beings are consuming or putting on our bodies, wearing. Pretty much every aspect of our life in some way, putting in our bodies, that are killing us. And newsflash, pretty much everything is toxic, and that's what we're going to get into today, that there are alternatives, and you can't really, awareness is the first step, so it's going to be cool. And how do you want to kick it off?
So I want to start by saying that my whole message with this is, one, we are not professionals, okay?
We're definitely not.
Two dudes chilling on a couch 6 feet apart because we're not gay.
Right.
And
There is
that
that.
doesn't mean we are experts
Yeah.
at chemical analysis or actual, certified doctors or whatever. But
Right. We are very curious, and we just like learning.
yeah,
And we also both have families that we're trying to take care of. And so, yeah. So, again, everything we're about to say is information that we have learned and researched over the past several weeks and months as we try and integrate some of the stuff in our own life. And so we just thought it'd be cool to share with you guys
yeah.
kind of the journey we're on.
And
And you make your decision for yourself, you know?
Yeah, the other thing is, like, I'm not going to list in the description study names or whatever, because a lot of this is a conglomeration of... Is that the right word? Does that
Yeah,
work?
sure.
A conglomeration of multiple different studies and other people who have done the research and have read the studies, and I've read some of the studies myself. The thing is, I can't remember the names of that crap.
Same,
so
dude.
when you hear something and you're like, I don't know about that, look it up.
Look
Because
it up.
if you're really curious and you're really, what's the word? Convicted, potentially convicted, then, you should look into it and
Yeah.
see what's going
And
on.
see for yourself. And again, like, ultimately, you got to make the decision for yourself. We can't tell you how to live, but we're hoping that we'll at least, like, push you in the right direction where you will start doing some of the research yourself and seeing some of the negative things that we are partaking in on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, though, to start, how much of this kind of journey for you is about, or was started, like, by your faith convictions, if any? I'm just curious.
By faith convictions?
Yeah.
I mean, I have the general faith condition that, your body is a temple, as in Christian terminology goes and everything.
Right.
It's basically, so I've actually been doing a study on Leviticus recently, and Leviticus talks a lot about preparing your body for being able to go to the tabernacle and commune with God.
Right.
And so there's a lot of things that make you unclean, and being unclean isn't necessarily being sinful.
Right. Yeah. It's not a
There
bad
are certain
thing.
sins that make you unclean, but there's just certain basic daily actions that distill down to have some correlation with death.
Mm-hmm.
And because God is not death, then that makes you impure, and so you have to do certain practices and ceremonies
Right.
to re-clean yourself so you
Right.
can be prepared to commune with God and, shake off the death you were touching or being a part of.
Yeah. And there's, like, a difference between, like, cleanliness and holiness in that book, and that's kind of like, on the holiness aspect is more of the spiritual things that we do, but the cleanliness is just like, like you said, like physical everyday things that defile us.
Yeah.
And in that context, God is offering a way to
Yeah.
look at that.
So through that, I've always been convicted. I always get the what the ick is.
Oh yeah,
You heard about the ick?
The ick.
So I kind of get the ick anytime I see, like, a heavily obese pastor. Just because I'm like, are you really trying? Are you really trying to sanctify your body to be a vessel for God with how you are? I think, actually, do you know who Steve Noble is?
That name sounds super familiar.
So Steve Noble, he has a radio show. That's like he's a Christian, but he's kind of got like a talk show thing. That's pretty popular in the Christian community. But he's got a slogan that's no sacred cows, and got some cool art correlated to that.
That's cool.
But once a year he has.
Is that like a burger thing? Like he likes to eat meat? No sacred cows?
No sacred cows. You know what that it means?
No, I know what it means. It was a bad joke.
Yeah.
It's a terrible joke. No.
So once a year he has a little series he does on fat pastors.
Wow. Okay.
Talking
Cool.
about it and stuff. So he's very unapologetic. He's a pretty cool guy. I've actually been on his radio show once.
Really?
So if
What
you want to
haven't
check
you
that out,
done?
check that.
What haven't you done?
Spelled correctly in a long time.
Yeah. I hear that.
The last episode with Elijah, I was trying to read exaggerate and didn't realize that's how it was spelled, and it was really throwing me off. I was like, this can't be how exaggerate is
There's
spelled.
no way. I had that problem earlier this week trying to spell the word scan. It's 4 letters, man, but it did not look right for whatever reason.
SKAN?
SC,
Oh, sorry,
yeah,
SCC. I was trying to say C.
But I think the S was capital and everything else was lowercase. And
It
I
looks
just
weird.
haven't seen it like that in so long.
S-can.
I was like, what is this word? It's
Yeah.
like, this can't be right.
Yeah, that happened.
I was trying to do like a QR code business card thing, and I was like, man, yeah, this is weird.
You want to know something
That's,
interesting about QR codes?
Let's hear it. It's a conspiracy.
It's when a QR code is scanned, it's actually scanning the white space, not the black space.
Dude.
I always thought it was scanning the black lines.
Yeah.
It's scanning the
It's like-
negative space.
Dude, the world is a crazy place.
So anyways,
That's crazy.
sanctifying your body. I've always been, on that train, and
Yeah.
that has to do with moderation
Mm-hmm.
in all things.
Mm-hmm.
Food, substances,
Yeah.
activities,
Right.
things of that nature. So, I mean, I've kind of been aware of it. It's not like I've been, like, super convicted. It's just been something I've been a part of.
Yeah.
It's been a part of my daily practice because a couple years ago, I did a modified Nazarite vow/diet, which cut out a lot of stuff. And I did that for almost 3 years. And so fasting and cutting things out of my life in that nature haven't been, like, super difficult.
Right.
My thing is, like, I have to do it cold turkey. Like,
Yeah.
I can't just, like, wane off. I got to go cold turkey into it.
Yeah.
So, like, say right now it's, like, no more soda for 5 years.
Mm.
Then I can do it. But if I'm just, like, I'm going to try to drink less soda, I'm going to freaking get a Mr. Pibb at Cookout.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
No, yeah.
So
same
what about
thing.
you?
Yeah, no, same thing. Like, definitely influenced by my faith. Like, my tradition growing up, super conservative, but also super hypocritical faith tradition.
About food?
About everything, yeah.
About
food.
everything.
You're talking about the obese pastors, and
pastors.
I get, there's a lot of different things that go into that, but that was never something that even, like, remotely, like, I connected to faith until, like, I was older, like teenage, early 20s.
When you first tried coffee at 18?
Yeah, bro. Changed
You
my
were
life.
like,
oh man.
you didn't have to cut me out.
Right. Yeah.
You went to
literally.
the universe and
Literally.
saw God and was like, ugh.
But as someone who has a tendency for gluttony,
Yeah.
not just in all things, like excess in all things, Enneagram 7, holla.
A cold practice.
Yeah. Right. Slightly.
What did I get? Did I get
uh,
also a 7?
I feel like probably, but I'm not one of those guys that's gonna tell you what type you are. So.
No, well, I did it. I just don't remember
I
what
can't
number.
remember.
Oh, well.
I remember what Sarah got, I think. But anyway, so, like, I have a tendency for excess, and so, like, growing up, I drank a couple of 2 liters of Coca-Cola every single day, man.
That still
Every day.
boggles my
Like,
mind.
we'd go to Chili's.
Chili's baby back ribs.
Barbecue sauce. I set you up. I set that up. We'd go to Chili's, and literally the ladies filling up my Coke like 8 times. Like,
Have you ever told a waitress or a waiter just like, bring
Bring
a
a-
picture?
bring-
a
yeah.
picture.
bring a picture of me drinking
of
this
me
Coke.
drinking a Coke.
Yeah, no, I have
my
actually,
God.
and it's happened several times. They even brought me, like, the giant beer mugs before, full of Coke. Like,
Yo,
yeah.
I went to this place one time and ordered a Armour Perma.
Arnold Palmer.
You know what I'm talking about?
Arnold Palmer.
Yeah, Armour
Yeah.
Perma.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy goes, "You want the big one?" And I was like,
buddy.
Yeah, I'll
Hook
take
me
the big
up.
one. And it was just one of those massive mugs. It's probably like 48 ounces.
I love it.
It's basically a pitcher.
That's up. That's what's up.
It's pretty dope.
But yeah, man. So, I drink Coke, like crazy growing up, and then like obviously knew it was really bad for my health, and so at 19 I cut out French fries and Coca-Cola for Coke for good. I went back to French fries like 3 or 4 months later, but I lost like 50 pounds, and got into like a workout regimen, and that kind of like opened my eyes to like the benefits of like cutting out negative stuff. But then like even more recently, just feeling kind of convicted about as like a Jesus person, taking care of like not just my body but the environment, the things that we're putting into the environment, and like trying to teach my kids how to be responsible with their bodies and with the world. The earth is has been super eye-opening. And then I was having a conversation with my brother like a couple months ago, and we were talking about like the fat pastor thing, or like people that like preach like a really like a typical Southern Baptist sex ethic, right? But then have like addictions to pornography, and their sex life as a married couple is terrible, and like all these things. And that, as a Christian, that is so counter to what the reality should be. And so it's a all of life thing. And so I think for me the biggest thing has been integration. Like, if this thing is for real, and what I believe is real, then it has to be an all or nothing type of thing. I can't just like intellectually think these things about Jesus or reality, unless
It's about walking the walk.
Right. Exactly. Unless it's encompassing all of life. As Nora just learned this verse a couple weeks ago. She's been saying it like every day when I get home from work. She's like, walk in the way of love, just as Christ loved us. And she'll just say just like that. And I'm like, good job, babe. But that is, that's it. Walking the walk, like if it's not an integrated part of who we are, then it's not real. And for me, the older I get, I just want to be more and more integrated. Like if I say something, I want it to be like, what is. So that's been for me is like the reason. Me and Erin are kind of on the same page, and she has been really like harping on this lately, and the last 6-8 months, like hardcore, especially like with like the garden, and with like the things that we buy and the type of products we purchase and things like that. So that's kind of what started us on the journey too. Like just being integrated, I think is huge. But
the thing about gardens that's kind of crazy is I don't think people realize how small of a garden you need just to supply your family with like more than enough.
Yeah,
like ours is actually sort of big. We kind of when we were in the mountains, it kind of got neglected. But we have so many tomatoes that we have to can, which isn't a bad thing, because then you're either preparing food to have it when finances are low or whatever, or if finances are good, you can bless people with it, things like that. And it's in glass, which is the best.
There you go. Yeah, y'all's garden is super impressive for sure. Ours
Not anymore. You should see it. It's
really
when we were in the mountains, it kind of suffered a little bit.
We went a couple days and picked some stuff for you guys, but it's
you were stealing my veggies.
No, we left them inside.
No,
we put them in the freezer.
You could have stolen them.
It's but same thing for us. Tomatoes, dude, so many tomatoes. It's crazy. And then like spinach, and it's just cool to eat the food you grow. I think has been super cool. And like we did pizza last night with the basil and oregano and tomatoes.
Yeah, like a margarita kind of pizza.
It was great.
Margarita pizza's really good.
Slept on. But yeah, man. So I think it's got to be an all or nothing thing for us, at least. That's kind of my perspective. But I mean, there's so many different ways to approach it. The reality is, stuff's killing us, and like a lot of stuff is killing us, causing cancer and causing anxiety and depression and stress. And like you can approach it from whatever angle you want to hit it at, but the reality is, there's a reason we're dying the way we are.
So, to get back kind of to something that we brushed on to start off this topic, cheap frying pans. So, I would say, now I don't know an actual statistic for this, but the majority of houses I've been in all have the non-stick, oven safe pans or whatever, and those are coated in Teflon and other chemicals. They say that the Teflon doesn't leach into food, but there's been some more studies come out and say that that's not the case.
It do.
Especially because you are heating stuff up. Anytime you heat something up,
Yeah.
it is going to naturally want to diffuse.
Right. Yeah.
The chemical process of diffusion, and part of that is leaching things. Teflon is very bad for you. There's been a lot of stuff come out about how it's cancer causing and causes inflammation and all sorts of nasty stuff, which you don't want in your body. And so if you're cooking with it, then
you're consuming it. Yeah.
The other thing is something that kind of got me kicked off. I've always been on this train, but something I've really been getting into recently is I started reading. I haven't finished it, but the first 2 chapters alone are very eye-opening. Started reading To Die For by Alden Wicker.
Okay.
This is a book by a lady who is a sustainable fashion writer, or who was a sustainable fashion writer.
Yeah.
But this book is about how in the fashion and textile industry, all the different things that are put on clothes or used in clothes in the making process that are toxic and causing people health issues, and they might not even be aware of it because they never suspected it being just a t-shirt,
Yeah.
And
like
Teflon,
anti-wrinkle stuff.
Yeah. So Teflon correlates to this because one of the main things she first starts talking about is there's been 3 major cases in the last modern era. I think it was like 2011, 2016, and 2018 in the airline industry, where there was these flight attendants getting these new uniforms that had all sorts of stuff on them. One of them being primarily Teflon. I don't know how it was put on the clothes, but basically the reasoning for there being Teflon put into the clothes was because the new uniforms used more synthetic materials like polyester and things like that. The old ones were actually just wool uniforms, which wool for the most part is going to be a really good safe bet for you to wear.
Right.
But then when they switched over to the cheaper, more synthetic type clothing to make it perform like, or to try to make it to perform like wool, they had to coat it in a bunch of chemicals and things like that. And so there was people getting rashes and lesions on their bodies from these clothes, having respiratory problems, like their throats closing up, like genuine allergic reactions to this. And there's still been an ongoing battle with the airline industry because they were, trying to shift the blame of what it was, because they were saying, anytime somebody reported it, they're like, oh, this is just a one-off case, we can try to get you an exemption, but most of the time they would just like suck it up and wear a uniform.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of people who were impacted by this that didn't know they were actually in a very significant amount of people that were being affected by this, because they were being told they were a one-off out of thousands of people, when in reality it was way more than just a one-off kind of scenario.
Right.
So there was people who were hospitalized by this and all things like that, and the reason was because these uniforms were soaked in multiple different chemicals. The interesting thing is, in the textile industry and clothing industry, there is no real regulations on any of that. It's the most unregulated consumer platform when it comes to chemicals allowed and used. Did I say unregulated?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you did.
Good.
Yeah.
So,
well, and you got to think too of the 80,000+ chemicals that are FDA approved for commercial use. I mean, the majority of them are like known carcinogens.
yeah. So to get to that, when they test these chemicals, they do it by a single amount basis. So when they are testing the different things that are going to go into the clothes, they get like, let's just use a generic term. They get like an ounce of Teflon, and then they get an ounce of hudabenzonamate or whatever.
Right.
And then they get an ounce of that, and they test them individually on their toxicity,
But not together.
Mm-hmm. Which some of these chemicals together have a completely different effect on how they interact with the human body and things like that, and none of that's tested.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, just reading this is kind of eye-opening about, like, just even where you get your clothes, because you also got to think, like, a lot of clothing in America, and the most clothes Americans are going to be buying is, like, you know, like Walmart clothes and things like that, like very generic, cheap clothing produced in third world countries
by
that don't
slaves.
have, by slaves that don't have a good scrutiny
No.
on the
There's no
production
oversight.
of the textiles, and or the scrutiny of the different chemicals and things and dyes being used in the clothing.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, now I've tried to, like, buy more linen and wool and things like that. Like, I bought for work, like 100% cotton jeans and 100% linen t-shirts to wear, which have their own beneficial properties, which we don't have to get into. But
I mean,
the fact that they're not synthetic.
Right, yeah, and the clothing industry, I mean, for many reasons, obviously, super toxic. They're using these chemicals that aren't tested properly. Even if they are known carcinogens, which we know a majority of them are, it takes years, even decades, for the FDA to remove anything. And at that point, you're already exposed. They're already in circulation. Like, I mean, it's tough. Not to mention, you throw in, like, the slavery and forced labor into the equation. I mean, there's a whole lot about the clothing industry that's super wrong.
Yeah.
We're using products like polyester that never breaks down. It'll sit in a landfill forever. And so, like, there's got to be alternative solutions to the way we dress, the things we wear, you know, shopping at Walmart, Target.
Walmart?
Yeah, some of these, like, convenience stores are actually super inconvenient for the majority of humanity.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm reading the book now. I'm almost done with it. It's called Fatal Conveniences. Darren O'Lean. I don't know if you know him. He created Shakeology for Beachbody and P90X, like those people.
Oh, yeah.
He's the co-host with Zac Efron in the Down to Earth series on Netflix.
I still want to watch that.
It's a good series. Yeah, it's a good series. But his whole thing is, like,
Daddy F.
all these things that are so convenient for us, are actually killing us. And he goes into like the clothing a little bit, and I mean, so you said, wool is a good alternative. What do you think are some other ways that we can be more conscious about the things we wear?
I think part of it is hopefully you can buy from a company that you can look into their. I mean, there's specific companies out there that I can't name any at the time. I've seen it though on their pages where if you go to like their FAQ page,
Mm-hmm.
you can see, if they're open and honest about their dyeing process and all that jazz. The thing about like even this shirt, this is considered like a performance wool running shirt.
Mm-hmm.
It has, I think this shirt's around like 60-ish% wool, and the rest of it's polyester for like stretchiness and whatnot.
Right.
And I want to say this again. This whole game is about mitigation.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because you're not going to win.
No.
You're never going
not
to
at
win,
this
but
point.
you can at least try to mitigate. And so,
And it's just choosing the best option. It's not like, it's not like you're going to change the world necessarily, but it's just like, how can I make the best decision with the information that I know?
yeah.
That's going to be the least amount damaging for myself and the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, mitigation, like choosing like, I mean, I hate to say this, but like the least harmful one, or like choosing the least worst option.
Yeah.
Kind of like every election for the last several years.
Yeah.
That's,
Unfortunately.
yeah. Yeah, and also like shopping secondhand is a big thing too, because like clothes that have been in circulation, they've been washed several times.
Yeah.
Like if you find like, I mean, Poshmark and like even eBay and some of these other like websites you can order secondhand clothes from, jeans and t-shirts and stuff, like it's a more sustainable way because you're not demanding that more is created in a non-humane way or with harsh chemicals added.
Yeah. I think that like when I bought this shirt, it still has the smell, but whatever company this is, I bought 2 articles of clothing from them. They soaked both the shirts in like some kind of cologne.
Yeah.
And these shirts, I washed them like 3 or 4 times before I wore them. But I'm under the general practice now of like any new clothes I get, like I was talking about those jeans and those linen shirts I bought. Like I washed them 3 times before I used them. Now, there's actually a whole, I don't want to get into washing machine science, but basically just what I do is I cold wash everything. Cold washing's better for your clothes anyways. They're going to hold up longer. We're about to start actually making our own detergent because laundry detergent is another big thing.
It's a no-no.
There's a lot of chemicals and fragrances in there that again have some studies suggesting about like a big thing is like in the fragrance department, a lot of the chemicals used in that, there's some studies talking about like that's what's giving people mental fatigue and inflammation of the brain, giving you brain fog.
Being very like chemically sensitive, and fragrances is like a big thing.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, it's unregulated. Like companies can put anything they want into your product to change the smell of it because we're obsessed with like smelling a certain way, right?
Yeah.
Our teeth, our bodies, like whatever. And all they have to do is put fragrance on the thing. So it can be whatever chemical out there. Like it's terrible. If you ever see the word fragrance on a label, stay away from it.
Could be a whole concoction of stuff.
Yeah, because like there's no way to find out what that is. That should be. It should just cause you to think, oh, that's pretty suspect. Cause, yeah, for sure.
So, anyways, to the 3 wash thing, I've used the all clear and free, which is probably like the most decent detergent you can get.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of stuff out there about making your own that's really helpful. I put some borax in there, and then I put some white vinegar in there. and wash and dry the clothes like 3 times to try to like get them freshened out. Because if you're wearing clothes straight from the store, you're either wearing somebody else because somebody else could have tried it on. But then the other thing is a lot of those chemicals and things that came from the factory, or even in the plastic bags that they were stored in,
Yeah.
can get on you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
And a lot of these chemicals, there's like a term for it, PFOS, I believe. Something. Yeah.
I
So
was hearing about that.
so basically, it's a forever chemical, so it never dissipates inside of you. Like, it's terrible for you. It is a carcinogen, so like cancer causing. And the majority of our clothes, like anything that's coated with Teflon, like all of these things, all of us have PFOS inside of us, like living inside of us. So
PFOS.
yeah. So we should at least like be curious about what it is, what we can learn about it, and try and stay away from it. Companies like McDonald's and Wendy's and any like fast food wrapper is coated in that stuff too.
Yeah.
You know, because it keeps the cheese from sticking to the outside, and it keeps the, you know, like the same thing as the non-stick pans. Well, you want it to be easy to get off, and so yeah, this stuff's terrible for us.
Yeah, I want to get back to the pans because I want to give the people some alternatives.
Give it.
But before that, I want to just kind of just close up the clothes thing. So where I heard about this book, To Die For, it's spelled as in like dye, like the dyeing, you dye your clothes dye.
Right.
The lady Alden Wicker, she was about to go on like a big news TV show place or whatever and get interviewed about it, and went through all this effort of getting to the place, getting ready, and then like 30 minutes before she was supposed to go on, the big wigs got wind of who she was,
Right.
and just canceled her flat out, and she didn't end up going on the show.
Yeah.
So she made a TikTok talking about it, and then like started talking about how her book, she paid multiple fact checkers to go through it. Everything in the book is 100% factual.
Yeah.
It cannot be I don't know.
Disproven.
Disproven.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so one of the other big things she was talking about was in synthetic materials and things like that, the chemicals leaching into you through your private areas.
Mm-hmm.
Lululemon specifically had a lawsuit about this,
Yeah.
where they tested a bunch of, I think it was actually like a double placebo trial, which is how most legitimate trials are done.
Right.
I could be wrong on that, but they tested these women, and all of them had chemicals in their nether regions leached from the polyesters and other chemicals and things that were in their leggings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, and that's like microplastics and other stuff, which we can also talk about microplastics. But yeah, just be mindful of your clothes. It's the most, it's really a snake in the grass because you're not suspecting it.
Right.
And
no one's really talking about it. I mean,
Yeah.
there are, but you know, you don't hear it.
yeah. So if you're having weird congestion issues, rashes,
Head fog.
fatigue, head fog, any of those things, and nothing is working, like you're trying a bunch of stuff, try changing out your wardrobe for something more natural and just test it out and see how you feel. It very could be what's leading to your illness. This episode is brought to you by Oak Nut Workshop. Oak Nut Workshop is a local company in Raleigh ran by me, who is a craftsman. I specialize in all sorts of things. I'm a jack of all trades, master of none, but I do pretty high quality work. If you want to see for yourself, check out all the stuff I've made on my socials at oaknutworkshop.com. Socials at Oak Nut Workshop, that's OAKNUT, or check out my website, same name, You can email me, contact me through there if you're interested in any custom work. And I will work with you on designing the thing you want.
He's
and
really good
to
at
suit
it.
your needs. The other thing is, all my leather I use for my leather work, because I do leather work, is veg tan leather, which, correlating to this episode, is one of the most natural and healthiest leathers you can use and also have on your person. So, if you want all those benefits, check out my website, learn about it from me on social media, and yeah.
Groovy. This episode is also brought to you by Grateful Coffee Co.
Beans.
Yeah. While we're on the topic that we are on today, you need to be caffeinated. Caffeine is good for you in small amounts. And Grateful Coffee Co. sources the best coffee from all over the world. We roast it in small batches. We deliver it directly to you within days. We also partner with nonprofits in Guatemala, organizations committed to education initiatives, community building, and other programs like that. We also, in correlation to today's episode, all of our coffee is fair trade, organic. Our packaging is compostable. We believe in trying to make this as sustainable as possible and making the world a better place. So when you buy a bag of coffee, you're actually changing someone's life. You can find out more at grateful.coffee. That's our web address, and our social handle, grateful.coffee.
Epic.
Epic.
We always like to say.
Add out.
Hey, all right.
Hey.
What were we getting into now?
Yeah, we just finished up clothing.
Yeah. I could go back to the pan thing real quick since we
Hey,
talked
man.
about it.
I want to hear it.
So the pan thing, we already talked about the leaching chemicals and they're turning the freaking frogs gay,
Right.
which also I can talk about because that also correlates to this episode.
Oh, chemical runoff.
Not even runoff.
Mm-hmm.
But for cooking pans, if you want a good alternative, you should look at stainless cookware, cast iron or high carbon pans, and copper if you're wealthy. Copper
If you're very
pans are
wealthy.
nice, but they're freaking expensive.
Yeah. We were talking about that last night. Getting some copper.
So there's a lot of hubbub in the cast iron world about what's the best cast iron. Lodge actually isn't that great of quality. It'll get the job done, and it'll give you the health benefits, and it's probably one of the cheapest ones out there.
Right.
Quality-wise is If you want something that's high quality and what I would say is affordable, I am currently in the market of about to get these. There's a company that is used in French cuisine, and in the world of cooking and all that. The French are the ones that are like the most held up in their cooking practices and things like that. And so I want to pronounce this right. Let's see. Stop giving me Teflon pans, you cheeky bum. Hold on, I'll get it. Sorry. I thought I was going to be able to
You got this, man.
pull this up fast. Okay. Matfer. Matt.
Yeah.
Fur.
I mean, hey.
Matfer. They are
That's actually my real name.
They are high carbon pans. Very simple but very nice.
Okay.
And so like the 8 5/8 inch pan is $54, which for a high quality pan isn't that bad.
Right. Yeah.
The other thing is you're either going to pay for it now or you're going to pay for it later.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing with this convenience culture we have in America is, yeah, you can keep using Teflon pans and you can keep eating certain things, which we'll talk about, and you can keep drinking certain things, which we'll talk about.
Yeah.
But you're gonna pay for it later with your health,
Right.
way down the road.
And even if that doesn't scare you, I mean, studies have shown that a lot of these chemicals, these forever chemicals, can be passed on in your genes to your children. So
Yes.
that should definitely
compounding
scare you.
health issues.
Yeah, so that should
Yeah.
definitely scare you if you're a decent human being.
Mhm.
It's you don't want to be poisoning your children. The majority of these chemicals travel through the umbilical cord during pregnancy. So we're talking about babies being exposed to certain chemicals before they're even born. So it's a big deal. Like
Yes.
you need to be at least aware of this. You can make your own decision.
So you don't have to buy all this stuff outright. You can just slowly start replacing your other stuff.
Yeah.
Matford pans, they have a variety of sizes and pots. Go check it out, because the only thing that steel can impart into your food is benefits, because iron isn't all that bad for you, especially women. It might be a good idea to get high carbon pans because it'll help out your iron deficiency. I don't know if that's true, but it makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe.
Because a lot of women are iron deficient for
right.
the thing.
The loss of significant amounts of blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Yes.
It's a thing. On that topic, I guess that's a great transition to personal care products.
Okay.
That's
Which you probably have looked into this more than me, so
yeah.
I'm
Well,
interested.
I mean, so here's the thing. Like, it's everywhere. Toxic chemicals are literally everywhere. So when we talk about personal care products, we're talking deodorant, body wash, hand soap, tampons, lipstick,
tampons,
eye makeup, shaving cream, toothpaste, crazy. And the list goes on. And so the reality is, like, all of these things are killing us through parabens. Phthalates, I'm probably saying that wrong. Phthalates, right?
Yeah, phthalates.
And phthalates, parabens, among other chemicals. Fragrance is a huge thing, especially with these things, because we bought into the myth that you're more socially acceptable if you smell a certain way. And we find this stuff in pretty much like all of our personal care products. Now, recently there's been companies that have come along and they're releasing products that will say on the packaging like no parabens, no phthalates. That's a good thing. That's what you need to look for. But the reality is
it's hard to not have phthalates in something if it's in plastic packaging.
Right, exactly. And so like even with that, there's already other chemicals that are being used that are still like damaging your body, your endocrine system, like just completely wreaking havoc, right? So, and a lot of this is because of the myth, or I guess it's just a more modern understanding that we have to look a certain way or smell a certain way. Our hair has to look a certain way, and not necessarily bad things. I'm not judging you if you're the guy that's putting all the gel in your hair or, whatever. It's nice to smell nice. Like, we like smelling nice, obviously. But what do we actually smell like?
What?
What do we actually smell like? We don't know.
Oh.
Right? Because
I know what I smell like.
Well,
I smell like salt.
On a sweaty day.
I smell like salt.
Yeah.
I don't really have any stink on my body, except I used to on my feet, which I solved that. But part of that, like BO and stuff, is heavily correlated to
your diet.
To diet and other things.
If your pH is balanced, you're not going to stink. And that's the thing, like, everyone jokes about McConaughey because he...
All right.
Yeah, all right.
Apparently he smells kind of sweet.
But he doesn't use deodorant or anything, right?
Yeah.
It's like he's like been on this train for a long time. But I mean,
I just stopped using deodorant.
Thanks.
A lady told me I smell nice, and I was like, all right.
But like
Throwing
anyway,
my Old Spice in the trash.
Old Spice terrible, Gillette terrible for you.
The best one that I've found if I am gonna use deodorant that I try to use is to give up people alternatives.
Everyman Jack.
The well, I don't know. I've never
You
tried
haven't
that
used
one.
that one?
Is the Arm& Hammer.
Oh, I haven't. Oh, yeah, I've seen that, but I haven't tried it yet.
It's got like baking soda and it's aluminum free and stuff like that.
Tom's of Maine is another one that's come along, and they really just like, so there's a lot of more naturally derived deodorants. Everyman Jack has a good one. Tom's of Maine, Native, some of these like.
Native.
So if you're gonna, I'm not telling you to not use deodorant because, but if your clothes are clean and your body's clean, the chances are
And your
you're
food
not
is clean.
going to stink. And the biggest thing out there is that like an antiperspirant is actually good for you. It's terrible for you. Your body needs to sweat. It's natural for it to sweat. If it didn't sweat, you would boil alive from the inside. So it gets the impurities out. Like sweating is a good thing. Antiperspirants, not really that great for you. But if you're gonna use deodorant, as I'm not telling you. I still use it. Sometimes Stone does. Right now, not so much, but
I ran out of deodorant a couple weeks ago, and I just haven't been using it.
Yeah, and that's cool, man.
But you
And
never
like
know, 'cause
switching
they
to
don't smell
natural deodorant is going to be an adjustment either way. Like, so say you want to get rid of the antiperspirant, you want to go to an aluminum-free deodorant. It's going to take a little while for your body to kind of like regulate that, but eventually, like I've been on natural deodorant for like a few years now, and I very rarely have to like, I don't know. It's just like I'm not smelling terrible, throughout the day. But these personal care products are really like, if you read the label and it doesn't sound like something, like it sounds like something was made in a lab, like that should like, you want to go for as many natural ingredients as possible. Castile soap, like we use the Dr. Bronner stuff, but you can just, any Castile soap. That doubles as, dish detergent and laundry detergent, and they have a toothpaste now, which is a whole nother thing. We'll get into toothpaste, but it's great, like shampoo, all these other things. The fragrance that's added to a lot of these things is probably one of the most damaging things about it, because again, this should throw up a red flag. This isn't regulated. They aren't required to actually tell me what chemicals were used in this.
Yeah.
All they have to do is put fragrance, and that should, like, you should know what you're taking on your body, in your body. Like, this is something that you should care about. So like deodorant, body wash, toothpaste, floss, right? Floss is coated in a Teflon-like material, another PFOS.
Get it up in your gums.
And to make it easy to slide through, right? There's no friction when you're flossing most of the time, and that's because it's coated in this plastic-like material. So you're getting microplastics all up in your mouth. You're swallowing that. Like the average human swallows like a ton of microplastics a year.
A credit card worth in like a week or a month.
Yeah, it's
Something
That's
that.
crazy, right? And
it's one of those two. It's either a
that.
week or a month. With that by itself, imagine say it's a month. Imagine eating 12 credit cards in a year.
Imagine eating one credit card in a year, man.
Yeah.
That's terrible to think about. So again, like it's in everything. Our toothpaste. So years and years ago, people in, I want to say it was in Michigan, but I might be getting that wrong, realized that the areas with the most fluoride in the water, people had fewer cavities, better dental hygiene. And so I think it was Michigan was the first state to add fluoride to their water. And exactly that happened.
That's the thing that turns the frogs gay.
Fluoride.
Yeah, let me
but like,
look at that real quick.
So what they did see was a decrease in cavities, like people had better dental hygiene, whiter teeth, and so all the other states adopted this shortly after, and it became like a thing. last time you went to the dentist, right? Didn't you get a fluoride at the end? It was like the little thing you got to suck on, the fluoride spoon, whatever.
I don't know.
Yeah, I remember as a kid having to do that. And so they started adding it to toothpaste because naturally, if it's working when you drink it, it's going to be great on your toothpaste. And what they didn't know about, or at least care about enough to do anything, was that fluoride has a lot of negative effects on your body, especially when it's drunken.
Oh, it's atrazine. Sorry, what I was thinking of.
Atrazine.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know what that is. Another chemical that's
It's
bad
a
for you.
pesticide.
Yeah. But anyway, so fluoride has obviously negative side effects, and so now we see a lot of toothpaste that are fluoride free.
Hello is a good one.
Yeah, we just got some Hello.
So there's an app called Yuka. Have you used Yuka?
Mm-mm.
So it's YUKA, and you scan the barcode of products, and it tells you like how good or bad they are depending on like how many chemicals and stuff they have. It's not 100% foolproof, but I've heard a lot of people use it, and stand by it. But it's got a little scanner thing.
Oh, that's cool.
And you can,
Yeah.
but they, Hello scored very well on this app.
Okay. Yeah, and like a good rule of thumb is just like you want the fewest amount of ingredients and the most ingredients that you can pronounce. If you want fresh breath, chew on some spearmint leaves.
Get just peppermint essential oils. I used to do that. I carried around a little vial and I would dab it on my ham and give it a.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like
fresh avocado.
A lot of the fragrance and the other things that's added to these toothpaste to give your breath like the minty smell, which is the universal sign of cleanliness, and the illusion that bubbles are actually what's cleaning, which is actually what's happening. Like when you're brushing your teeth, you're seeing all the bubbles. That's not because it's cleaning
rabies
necessarily. It's because you have rabies. Yeah. But like all these things that are added are actually just doing a lot more harm than good. I'm not saying don't brush your teeth, 100%. Like your teeth and gums are like the gateway to your overall health, right? It's super important. But it's using like toothpaste without fluoride, especially with kids. If you have kids, like what kid is not going to swallow the toothpaste, right? Because it's just, it tastes like bubble gum, man. And so just being mindful, like fluoride-free toothpaste. Yeah.
It's like weird bubble gum.
Weird. It is a weird bubble gum. I was never a fan.
Yeah.
But anyway, man, so it's in everything.